like with controlled opposition though, most people they just can't. They don't have the discernment. And this goes back to what we were saying, like before with researchers, how we woke up. We can see most people. We can see and like discern who's like controlled opposition because we have like more points to draw from. For example, like
Mm.
David Icke. I know I keep saying David Icke, but like
Behind
what?
control opposition, usually there's like a money trail. Um, there's something that's like evidently based that you can identify that raises suspicion. With David Icke, it's the fact that he has a theory that's so out there
Hmm.
that just raised it for him. The
Yeah.
reptile theory. I
But
mean, he's like money. There's nothing come out that he's money affiliated with anything.
yeah.
He's
I've
not
not,
done
I
it.
literally, I haven't even seen a compelling case against him. I see like certain pictures floating around, bro. I see this is a funny thing. The people go and people jump on Twitter and then they got this random ass account that they don't know who's even behind it. It's got like 6K followers. It's an anonymous account. All they do is just like post conspiracy related stuff. They post a picture of like David Icke in a pink jumper, because he wears those jumpers with
Yeah.
post a picture of a pink jumper, and then alongside that picture, there was other people like Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos with the same pink jumper. So that was his case of David Icke being controlled up. I just want to say, like, people will legit watch that shit or see that, and then that becomes like a almost a legit fact for them, or it reinforces their already like or they already kind of believe that he is, so it reinforces it, and they use it as like it's baseless. There still hasn't today been a compelling uh like
Yeah, there's no case that's
de
solid. But I just
debunking.
think he wakes so many people up. He woke us two up.
Yeah.
Like if he was controlled up, I usually say he's like the worst
Yeah.
controlled up ever. He's waking so many people up. I'm like,
Bro.
are they really that bad?
And also he wasn't even speaking about this reptilian thing only came out like fairly recently compared to all the years of work that he put in previously. I remember watching the documentaries and all the 10-hour lectures and shit that he was putting out on YouTube like years ago when we first woke up. I can barely remember one moment where he was speaking about like maybe a few times he spoke about reptilians, but the rest of the stuff that he spoke about, bro, like hardcore truth shit, bro. That shit woke you up.
I think he understood himself that if he led with that or integrated that early on with
Yeah.
giving people this information, they would automatic response would just be like, hell
Yeah.
no, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So he
And
knew like not to just push it in all the time, but people like truthers, they want to get to the truth and they take it really seriously and not everyone's everyone's allowed to believe what they want really at the end of the day.
yeah.
But when it comes to truthers, if you disagree with them,
Yeah.
you end up on the blacklist, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Controlled list.
I know. And just like with the reptilian stuff,
Hmm.
it's so easy to just see that. Like when he came on like BuzzFeed. This is when when the reptilian theory like really came into general awareness. It came on. He did something with BuzzFeed, which is like a very controlled
Yeah,
thing to do
with Vice as well, I
with
think.
Vice and like these major like alternative controlled outlets and stuff. And that's a bit like that's obviously like dodgy
Yeah,
shit. Why
that
would you do
shit is
that?
a bit
But
weird.
if you actually look into what he actually means about the reptilian stuff, a lot of that shit makes sense. It's so easy to see the outside of it and be like, oh, bro, this
Mm.
guy believes in lizard people, lizard people.
But I mean, when you first come across the huge scale of like human trafficking, sex trafficking, and then you get into like people get into adrenochrome and how, you know, that whole thing.
Hmm.
Questions start coming up to you like, is there like a non-human element here?
Yeah.
Because these people are into some hella crazy shit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can understand why he would explore that. Most people
Mm.
do. It's not even that far out. I mean, the average guy believes in aliens.
Yeah. That's another thing is like most people believe in these. I mean, there are truths to extraterrestrial beings or beings, but when it comes to his understanding of which it makes a lot of sense, they're like thrown off of it and he just don't
I
really.
think it gets like that when you say the queen's a lizard, the
Yeah,
royal family,
yeah,
the
no.
shapeshifters.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's woo woo, but I think also you actually need to understand that you now we've come to a point where people literally try and take people's word for gospel. Like we never took David Icke's word for gospel. The guy did so much. Like he woke me up anyway. Like I'm grateful for that. But who believes somebody entirely 100%, bro? I don't think there's anyone in my life that I believe every word that comes out of his mouth or their mouth.
Mhm.
And
It's
then
like this confirmation bias people have to live by,
yeah,
whereas everyone they listen to or associate with has to 100% align with them.
mm,
And it's like a control of things that's not even based in reality. Like, how would you ever learn
mm,
if you don't listen to people that disagree with
yeah,
you and you disagree with them? You're just gonna get information that you already know.
mm. And also people like the whole point of being a researcher, at least for us, is you take in as much information as you can from like any source available, even if even if it's a source that completely goes against what you actually believe about something. So you look into that, but you don't hold it as your own belief until you can actually evidently or experientially or put the pieces together until it becomes actually fact, at least for you.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like people will watch all these people and even these controlled oppositions that are all coming out now and everything, and it's like, yeah, everything they're saying is 100%, 100%, 100%, and they don't do any work on their own behalf to even see if it's evidently true.
Mm.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I know what you mean. These people can't hold an idea without completely identifying with it.
Mm. Because
So, go
yeah,
on.
because then the conversation is not even like, oh, is this guy controlled up or is she controlled up or whatever. It's like, bro, do you even know how to discern? Because if
Uh,
you get what I mean, it's like
yeah.
that's actually the conversation. Do you even know how to see through that blurred line?
And it's like the most critical point that's going to set you up for the
Mm.
rest of your journey. Because once you make that switch, you can either be living in constant just a schizophrenic mindset where you just can't identify what's real, what's false, and you're just constantly confused. Fear is always coming in your life. Or you're gonna have to take the time out and really assess how to discern, how
Yeah,
to actually, yeah, it's a learned skill.
yeah.
Everyone can learn that
But I
skill.
think it comes over time. Like when we woke up, this is also one of the biggest things is when did we wake up? What date? It was like 2017, right? 218, or maybe a bit earlier. Like maybe
About
just
17,
yeah, 217. Bro, why does it feel like that was like a completely different world?
because it
This
sort of
shit was
was.
yeah, shit was so different. Like and that's because of like the way everything is now, but like we actually had time to like learn things and corroborate information and actually just take it in. Like it was our awakening was actually proper chill, bro, compared to now.
Yeah, I mean, when you have someone to bounce off, it's like brothers going through it together. It was a lot. easier to like you're not alone. I
Yeah,
see nowadays a lot of people struggle with just being alone, like everyone in the family thinks they're just often not.
yeah.
I can see why that would be difficult to go through, but for us, we were just churning down like rabbit hole after rabbit hole.
But
Like we
like,
found, we're just like throwing each other links, like check this out, check this out. I
yeah.
mean,
Bro, like literally within a month of our awakening, we were going down rabbit holes that people took 10, 15 years to prepare themselves to go down. But we watched
guys, big it up. But
that.
it's true.
It's really legit. Like
It's true though.
there are documentaries that we were watching about like sex trafficking, about uh the nature of what these elitist groups are actually doing in terms of trafficking kids and
Yeah,
in
like child
the
rings and
deepest,
stuff.
darkest rabbit holes, like what they're doing to organ harvesting, like these rabbit holes that bro, people don't come down like very often. Also, not even just to do with that kind of stuff, like other things to do with understanding psyops and political psyops. And we gathered so much information because like we weren't rushed to do it. We just like we did it because
Yeah, because we just wanted to
felt
navigate
natural.
like what is this? You open your mind so much, you're like, okay, there's big players in this place that run the show. Like we're trying to find out the truth of everything.
Yeah.
How much is like in their control. But I also think it's our awakening was chilled in that sense, but it was also very dark patches that you have to make sure you don't stay in. I think the people that do go in there, they get stuck in the rabbit hole and they just paint the world with that same, that same energy. Everything's dark. When we used to when we went on Instagram years ago, it was full of accounts that were just pushing just the evil shit that's going on.
Yeah.
And obviously it's a good service to wake people up to, but it's tainting yourself at the same time.
Yeah, but it's necessary.
It's definitely necessary, but
Like
we
we
went
had
through
some
that short period,
yeah, but we
but
went through some dark times, bro.
yeah, I know
We
exactly.
used to come to you like I was like remember I used to come watch a documentary. Then I just like walk in your room like, bro, you need to watch this shit, bro. It's like send me like gone, bro. Like the stuff was so dark, but it's necessary because when you learn this shocking information, there are like stages
Mm,
to accepting the truth or the stages of an awakening because amount of times people have messaged me like, "Oh, bro, oh, I love your content and everything, but all of this information is so dark and it's like sort of making me depressed and
negative.
stuff." Bro, we were depressed at one point. I mean, I was extremely sad at certain points because you just realize like the world is entirely not how you understood it. Literally every aspect, and you just keep on coming across more information. You're like, bro, that was fake too. We're like, oh my god, I didn't know this, and like it's mad, but it's like you were talking the other day about the stages of grief. It's kind of like the stages of awakening is first, it's like fear, it's like scary, but as long as you don't stay trapped in that, which is what a lot of people do, where it's constant fear and it almost becomes like an addiction. You get addicted to the rabbit holes and the you almost
Mhm.
get addicted to the fear, but like if you can transgress past it, which is what we did because we actually had time, then you get onto like the next stages of like acceptance and then the next stages of like discernment and the positive aspects of like that start to like flourish.
Yeah, well, I think now we're seeing they're trying to avoid certain steps, such as the angry part,
Mm.
because people you go through it yourself how it is a very depressing journey to go
Mm.
through, and people want to avoid that for others, so they try to paint it in like such a light, fairy way,
Yeah,
but
bro. You
it's a
posted content.
disservice because you have to go through the really the dark stuff.
Yeah, you've posted content on social media, innit? And say me, how many comments you get of people like, oh, this is so fit. Like it's a basic thing you've just posted about. Like you're just raising awareness of the things that are poisoning you in the food system, for example, which is very good information for people to know about. So much fear, you're spouting fear and fear. It's like, bro, people are avoiding the reality and they want you to cater for it. And so basically what you're
Exactly.
saying, yeah, they want you to cater for their,
Yeah, it's just this love and light approach.
yeah, I know. And then, but what I wanted to say with all of that, with regards to like the David Icke and Our Awakening, like why it was like very easy and it was like more of a process and it came on very, just felt natural awakening up to the world. Compare
Hmm.
that to now and the way people awaken now, bro. That's something that I,
Yeah, it's completely different.
yeah, things so much, everything's like become so much quicker. Like when we were waking up, there wasn't that many, like there was like one red flag every year, like one major event every year, like back in 2017.
Hmm.
Like there wasn't that much to like keep you occupied. And now there's like so much every day or like almost every week there's something new, like a global event, or you know, there's so much also so much information that's coming out now. Like people are waking up so quickly, but they've not had the time to actually like practice the discernment, practice like actually understanding information. So it's like they're just taking it
Well,
all
it's
in.
just like not just part of the uprising of consciousness. You know, a global event has to smack people into it. Like we had it more. We we were sort of like we had the chance to take our time, go through it slowly. But now, since like the whole pandemic stuff, people are just getting thrown in the deep end. You haven't got time to sort of make it easy on yourself.
Yeah, that's what I want to say is that's how it's created like for me at least when we're talking about controlled opposition, we can see a lot. We can see the truth and we can see and have a feeling and an instinct if a person is doing that's what what a person is putting out if it seems a little bit controlled opposition. But for most people that are waking up now, like through the pandemic, because of how quick they've had to waken up, they don't have the necessary like dots to connect it all. And so like
Mm.
lot at least for me anyway, like there are so many people led astray. So many people because of the how quick they've been like they've literally been propelled into like this fear-driven world, which has awakened them up, but it's resulted in them having to like attach to some kind of thing as a protective mechanism, as a way to either like escape or as a way to kind of anchor themselves through this. So they'll 100% believe this guy or get into work of this guy and it becomes gospel for them because it's easy for them to believe this guy and follow what this guy says rather than having to look at it themselves and then practice those things that we were able to practice of like
Yeah.
actually assessing information and like does that make sense, does that corroborate with this, or does that seem like a lie, and not just like believing everything you see.
Well, it's similar to the spiritual concept of, you know, all the gurus talk about how your ego attaches to belief systems.
Mm.
And when you fall out of one, such as how you perceive the world, and you wake up to all like the corruption that's going on, one belief system crumbles and people don't know how to handle, being completely open-minded, so they have to find another one to latch onto. So I think it's a vulnerability that everyone has to go through, but like now today, it's just way shorter. I mean, you're getting thrown into there's 100 different ones out there. You can scroll Instagram, people scroll TikTok, Twitter. There's every scroll, there's a new thing to latch onto. You're not even in control of it anymore
Mm-hmm.
because it's just whatever's thrown at you in this like content driven world we're in now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if there's a way of avoiding it without being on these these devices. Because at the end of it,
Maybe like that's
algorithms are dictating how
yeah,
your awakening is actually going to turn out.
yeah. I was watching Alice. Did you watch the latest thing that I shared on Telegram about with Alison McDowell?
Oh no, I've not watched that.
So she's basically talking about how she just painted this scenario or something that she went through was basically, these flight trackers.
Mm,
So they're called like smile points. So every time you fly, you can get points and you can be discounted from the next flight. So you can use the points to get a discount on the next flight. And she was talking about how the whole actual system, the whole AI system that's behind this is she like tried to book a flight and it didn't let her use the points or something like this. And she went through a journey where it prompted her to buy more points to then book a flight. So she bought more points because if she buys the points, it's cheaper than if she buys the actual ticket. And if she
mm.
uses the points. So of course, like a logical solution is you buy the points and then you use the points. And then she found out like, oh, the points don't go into her account until like after 2 weeks. So she's like, bro, I need to book a flight now. And they didn't tell me this. So anyway, she ended up buying the ticket, just flat rate buying the ticket because she had to buy it. But she was basically painting the picture that these algorithms basically they're collecting data on you. They already know that you need a flight. They already know you're probably going to purchase. And so they've like guided you to not only just spend more money, but also to eventually just buy the ticket. So like the same situation is basically like with the algorithms is these these algorithms, or at least I think I don't know, I can't really prove it, but they know like where you are on your journey through everything you've been watching.
I think
And they
it's
prompt you, like
100% true.
they're guiding you. They're like she even talks about
Yeah,
this.
I think your history's the data of all your history of everything you've consumed is stored somewhere.
Yeah.
I think they're completely aware of that. I think the whole last 3 years when they were taking that the censorship was ramped up, I think they were figuring out how to cater the algorithms in that time. And
Yeah.
especially for YouTube, I think YouTube took it to a new level. I mean, I've had it happen myself. You can be scrolling the For You page on YouTube homepage, and they'll just throw a video at you that could actually alter your life.
Yeah.
Like a whole new topic, subject, a new teacher, a new, and all because of an algorithm.
Yeah, they're like guiding your where your attention goes. It fucks when you think about it because when you oh bro, I had a point. 1 second. I was gonna
I
touch.
was gonna say that's why I only try to watch stuff that's going to be beneficial. You can have to cater the algorithms to help yourself,
Yeah.
right? Machine learning, right? It's learning off you. It's going to be a reflection of your how you go on these things. So you kind of only want to comment, like, ideally watch stuff that's going to help the algorithm feed you better content in the future.
Yeah.
So I only like stuff that I want to see more of, watch
Yeah.
stuff I want to see more of, comment stuff I want to see more of, because
But the
it
thing
can
is,
help you
bro, it's
locally.
getting to a different level now though, because you know how we think we're using this device and we're scrolling on the internet. And it appears as if we are, but really what's scrolling on the internet according to the AI or according to the systems that are being used is a digital version of you. So you create a digital imprint with everything that you do. Everywhere you click, how long you're on a post, it's all collected on as a digital version of you. And we have a digital version of ourselves. So when they feed that digital version of you into other algorithms to like collect data on you or to predict behavior or whatever. That's what they're doing. So like we think we're using the phones, but the phones are basically using,
Yeah, completely
and
consuming you.
that digital version of you is one of the most accurate representations of you because it tracks everything that you like, dislike, watch, spend time on. And I don't know about now. I think there is still an aspect of them like literally they're guiding your awakening
Yeah.
somehow. But I think in the future, like it's going to be way more on top of that. Like they will know exactly what video to provide. Like if they want you uh to be guided into some kind of certain kind of information for whatever reason they need it to be, they'll know exactly what video to send you and what will grab your attention.
Yeah, but I think if the new TikTok algorithms change that, I think before when I was speaking on YouTube, how they could throw a video at you,
Mm.
a completely new topic subject, and throw you into like a whole new, you know, rabbit hole or whatever. With TikTok now, you're only seeing stuff that you interact with, so they only throw content at you that's similar to that.
Mm.
So, and they know that that increases your time spent on the app and so on. So, if these algorithms are only giving, like, confirming what you already know and throwing content that you already like, the odds of you finding something that's going to be out there, like something new, is going to be so small. It's going to be limited.
Yeah, that's true.
So they're controlling the awakening for now, of what
Yeah.
people see that can open their minds a bit to a point where it'll just be that 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 thin line would it was just getting thinner and thinner and be disappearing eventually.
Yeah, and don't you think they feed you things that also confirm what you already know? They've
Yeah,
seen that, like
exactly. Yeah.
that's what keeps you in the bubble.
Hmm.
It's like
And everyone's in their
those,
own little bubble
yeah,
on these apps. The algorithm creates a bubble. They know that you spend more time, they interact there more, you know, interact with ads more, you spend more. They know that to keep these people in their own little environments on these, on these apps, it works better for them long term. That the odds of you finding information that's new, unfound territory, it's not going to happen.
but that's what I love about books, bro. Books where there's
Yeah,
beauty.
this is all just internet,
This is just like,
and none of it's real. And
yeah,
a lot of
it's
attention's on
so,
something that's not real. We need to
yeah.
go back to the physical.
I know that's why I'm like reading so many books now because at least you can like. Then again, who knows if I've been guided to buy like a fucking book, bro. But there's just like, yeah, you don't have that nonsense when you actually read people's writings and books. But man, that's crazy when you think about it.
Well, the content of books is deteriorating massively as well. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone and anyone creates books these days. The value of books has really declined.
Yeah.
It's more just a business model these days.
Yeah, I mean, the latest books, I don't even think I've bought a book that's been like released in the last few years. I try to go for books that are older, or at
Mm.
least of like, for example, if I've researched some guy in the 1950s or whatever, and he did like lots of studies on whatnot, and he wrote a book, you just go buy that and you read it, and this tends to be a lot better than the shit
Mm.
that they put out now.
The awakening's going, like in the far, far future.
Yeah. Well, what do you have? What are your thoughts on this?
I don't know. I need to do more into that, but I'm
Because
trying to just
I think
off
it does,
like,
it is like related to what we were talking
yeah,
about.
what I was saying. Like I've never even thought of that before, how like I was just speaking from what the convo, but you know how
Yeah, Alison McDowell talks about this, how like it's
like
guiding.
YouTube used to throw stuff at you, right? And now TikTok's algorithm, which is the first one where it's all confirmation bias. Not confirmation bias, but it's you giving stuff that you already interact with and you know.
Yeah.
you're not gonna see shit later. So you're gonna get to a point where you're never gonna see something that someone else sees, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no chance that algorithm's gonna feed you. So if that keeps on going that way, we get to a point where everyone sees the world in their own way, their individual way,
Hmm.
right? Because everything they're fed, media, all the content's just what they see on the apps.
Yeah.
I don't know, what does that lead to? It's definitely less awakening, isn't it?
Yeah, but I also like on like a spiritual context is like where because I do believe they know that most people are going to be waking up. Like awakening is happening at like a mass scale now, and I think that's just due to the Jay Dreamers talks about like the shift in polarities and shift in the poles and like there's a greater energy influx in this world. I think people are going to be waking up on a mass scale, which they are, but their efforts now are like, how do we guide people into like a false awakening? Why do you think there's so many controlled oppositions now and like in every sector, like media?
Hmm.
Why
Well,
is
I
it?
think maybe that is the way the future's gonna look. More turmoil. I mean, the past 3 years for most people, like we're born in the late 90s, it's probably one of the worst things to happen in our lives.
What?
A global, you know, like fake pandemic where
Yeah, yeah,
everyone's
yeah.
forced to stay at home, no travel. That's the first time we've ever seen anything like that. And we've seen the impact that had on waking people up. And is it only going to look like more similar events like that in the future? Maybe not exactly like that, but just in the whole context of how consciousness evolves.
Hmm. Well, then you get into like another aspect of like what's the nature of evil because Mkhitaryan said, I'm not sure where the quote comes from where he says evil contains within it the seeds of its own destruction.
Mm.
So we have like obviously that parasitic evil nature that is trying to create all the turmoil, the pandemics and the kicking the farmers out, the geoengineering, all the shit that's going on, the vaccines and everything. But at the same time, like it's eating itself alive because people are waking up. But they're also then trying to control the intricacies of how people are waking up. And I think that's the thing is like maybe these guys they understand the nature of evil, but they're trying to protect themselves in some way to not let the parasite eat itself. Do you get what I mean? To further
Yeah.
to further their plan, they have to create turmoil because it's that same old Hegelian dialectic of like problem, reaction, solution. They can't necessarily just, you know, click their fingers and their final plan comes into action. They have to, you know, play the game a little bit. But along the way, the people will be waking up, but they're just trying to remediate that, somehow.
Well, I
But
think that the suppression of that comes through artificial technology, the whole transhumanism
mm,
futuristic outlook of they have automaton, literal, people that have lost complete control of their
mm,
physical body, even
which is the
control,
temple to the spiritual worlds.
exactly, which navigates the consciousness in us.
Mm.
If they can override that for you through all these, we've seen the chips and however it looks later on. Is that their goal of maintaining their place here?
I mean, I think that's the dualistic nature of what we're seeing now, because you have that aspect of the transhumanism, it's like they know what they need to do, but they also know that there's consequences to their actions. There's a duality to their actions. So like the more they force people into a certain kind of way of living or reality, they know there's going to be a lot of people going towards that fringe side, but they're trying to control that fringe side. And at the same time they have that transhumanism stuff. You have stuff like, have you looked at, you posted something about the 100th monkey effect,
Mm,
and as I read something called, like, it's called brainwave entrainment, where like the more the more strong of a consciousness we get, and the more we start thinking in accordance to true principles and true reality, that consciousness will ultimately, without us even trying, will affect the consciousness of the people around us, or even those that are on the other side of the world, like after the 100th monkey,
yeah.
eventually. So like,
Well, I think that's why they we know our consciousness is navigated through our physical bodies. The physical body dies, our consciousness isn't here anymore. So they understand that to affect consciousness and the way it evolves, they have to intervene with how the physical body operates. And
hmm,
that's where Rudolf Steiner, that quote kind of went around a lot in the past 2 years, where he was saying that the vaccines were going to take the spirituality out of man,
hmm,
especially with these new gene therapies and stuff. I think that's the approach we're going to see for the next decades, where they're going to try and intervene with the bodily processes so that consciousness will be halted in that awakening effect.
well, that makes sense, because have you not noticed, like, everything that they do now is all the agendas that they throw out, the red flags and all these like huge red flag events and stuff, global events. It's all to do with the destruction of man's health and
Mm-hmm.
man's temple and body.
Yeah, I think it's a lot to do with affecting like genetic engineering. I think there's so much of that going on.
Mm,
That's been the main focus. Um, and then you got like the most famous billionaire who wants to put a chip in everyone,
yeah.
and he will get worldwide outreach with that Neuralink. I think it's becoming normalized to a point where when they create the demand, I think it will,
Mm,
like, a lot of people be enticed to do it. So it looks like that is the end goal for them,
mm.
is have control over your body, because they
Because
know
like,
that how much that affects consciousness and the way it
yeah.
interrelates with it.
So the end goal on a physical level is the control of the body and the control of the temple, but that's only a they're only doing that for a specific reason, which is like the
To
temple.
maintain their presence,
Yeah.
because
And also to stop the elevation of spiritual development.
exactly.
So yeah, bro, that makes complete sense.